Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. This video is a gameplay compilation with commentary featuring 3 clears of Expert Volk. We're going to start off with a co-op clear featuring Eleonora, then have a co-op clear featuring Pietro, and finally to end this video I have my first ever solo clear of Expert Volk. I wanted to try to get all the solo clears of the Master High Dragons, Expert Agito, done before the skilled shared system arrived, so I had a lot of fun putting this together. You can think of this as us just kind of memeing with the game. We've played this fight a while now and we just kind of want to enjoy it. I'm leading with my Eleonora clear here, and Volk thinks he's so cool, but he ain't nobody. You can see how we just jumped over his shuriken there like it was nothing. I mean, we got this, and here he is trying to poison Eleonora. He can't poison Eleonora. Eleonora poisons him. But anyway, this is just a fun video. I wanted to make this kind of as a send-off or tribute since Master Volk is coming out, and also because I realized I don't post that many gameplay videos on the channel, except for my first clears of these endgame fights for the most part, but people seem to like when I posted like my solo compilation of the different Expert and Master High Dragons, so hopefully I'll be able to entertain you at least with this today. Even though it's not necessarily expert or high-level play, you're going to see plenty of mistakes and issues. But think of this as us just kind of having fun and messing around here and trying to see if we could clear this with Eleonora. I was honestly very surprised because Volk's Wrath I really haven't played that much until we got announced that Master would be happening. And even then, I still had a lot to finish as far as Ciela. Like, that was the main thing I wanted to play. So I haven't been somebody who's been trying to like prepare for Master by farming out weapons or anything. But I was surprised that this fight with Galamars just becomes totally different. Like, it's not just Galamars, obviously it's Marth, but in this particular team composition, we don't have anything that just completely slays here. So we have sort of a normal sequence for the most part, despite our Galamars. But like, with those two together, I was honestly really shocked to see what this fight has become. Like, dealing with snapping squalls during the first resentment phase, it just feels a little bit ridiculous to me, honestly, having played this back in the day. But I am somebody who doesn't usually grind out these Agito fights. I tend to prefer the High Dragon fights, since I never grinded out those to begin with, so I like to get up my Fafnirs and collect all the weapons from those. And the Agito, it feels a little bit better for me to do in solo, so I assume Expert Volk is going to become easier to solo eventually. And by the time that happens, I'll probably have finished my soloing of Ciela and Kayan on Expert. We'll see what happens with the material that's coming out for Master difficulty, but so far so good as far as our match here goes. Our DPS isn't insane. It's kind of like it used to be in the old days, where you would break sometime in Resentment, maybe throw down some Popstar Sirens, that type of thing. I decided to go ahead and drag in here, and there are notably no burn enablers on our team, so actually Eleonora is doing a little bit of service here to the team with being the poison bot, as it were, and letting people run the Fires of Hate or Plaguebringer if they don't have the Fires of Hate. So we're just basically casting skills, just kind of spamming them. Eleonora tends to cap out poison extremely quickly, so it's a little unfortunate that she has poison on both her first and second skill. The one in the first skill is a little better, but I'm pretty much just casting on cooldown because it doesn't really matter a whole lot here. I do have to be careful of not dying to stuff like the screen-wide moves, Steel Vitality, that type of thing. And I never built a ranged flame character, so I don't think I've ever cleared this as a ranged character to begin with. So things like the snapping squalls, like, I kind of just roll in and play like melee, because that's what I'm used to. I first cleared this with my blade units, with, I want to say, it was Reyna for my first clear, and then soon after Mikoto, who plays so differently because one has really long iframes and Mikoto has really short iframes. And then I cleared with Nobunaga, who'd come out at the time, and kind of used those and my tier 2 High Dragon weapon to farm up one Agito weapon. The first Agito weapon I got was for Eslith, so I used her for a long time to get my second Agito weapon, kind of just via natural progression, because at the time there were no other Agito fights to sort of spin weeklies on or be a distraction. So eventually I used that to get a flame sword, and then I used my flame sword or Eslith to eventually get an axe. But here we go for the finish. Viper Bolt, and the shadowy aura around Volk signals the end of the match. So, pretty fun one. Got to play with Serena, who I love, and Ezlith and Cleo, so all cuties team right now. But we're going to switch over to Pietro clear, and surprisingly, Pietro, despite being in the weak element, was super effective. Even more effective than Eleonora, which may tell you something about my rotations not being that good, or maybe just that my teammates decided to upgrade to compensate for the fact that I was bringing a water character. It is the same group here, so thank you to them for joining me for this. It was very fun. I actually was just trying to get my weeklies done, and we decided to make it into a little bit of a meme experience this time, so I decided to bring High Mercury. I don't know if it was fully necessary for Pietro in order to clear, but I thought that the extra HP wouldn't hurt. I also think I had Study Rabbits on, and maybe even like an Affliction Guard print or something. Super defensive setup, and whereas Eleonora was doing maybe like 30,000 with her skills, you're gonna see Pietro just, poor guy, just doing a miserable amount of damage. So as much as we were flexing on Volk before, Volk is laughing this off right now. When we cast our first skill, you'll see how sad this is. But this time around, instead of Serena, we have Marth on the team, and this is where you'll see what I mentioned earlier, why Marth is kind of disgusting after Mana Spiral, and in particular with Golemars. I am wondering how accessible Master Volk will be without Golemars. I don't have a Flame Dragon that's that strong. I don't even have a 60% strength Flame Dragon, to be honest. So I use Sakuya, and Sakuya I think is good, but I don't know what that will look like. I haven't been a huge fan of the Masters. Like, the Master High Dragons, when they first came out, they were okay for me, but honestly, I never participated in them when they were rotating out every week. I would test them out just for fun, but then I didn't really get into the Master High Dragons until the month after they came out, which was November, and a lot of them, I don't think I got my first clear until December of that year. I decided to go ahead and bog there and use my dragon to tank the Chaser attack that targets all of us, but after the fact, I kind of thought about it and was like, that was kind of dangerous, because I didn't realize how quickly we'd get down the HP there, and for the screen-wide transformation, but luckily I tanked that just fine. But this is what I meant where it gets super weird, right? Because we're still in resentment phase, but snapping squalls are happening, and keep in mind we're using two off-element characters here. Marth intentionally got hit there, I presume, in order to give us a last boost. I think that's the second last boost, because we got one earlier when he intentionally got hit during the teleports. Unfortunately, I think all my skills may have been charged, so I didn't really plan for that. And I later found out that my teammates didn't realize I was causing bog, so that was also not really planned for. But we're still doing fine. We are diminishing the overdrive gauge all right. I was kind of debating as I played, like, do I want to cast these skills? Do I just hold these skills? Does anybody need shield? But I figured I saw Cleo over there. She seemed like she might need a shield. Unfortunately, it did not protect her, but I tried. I tried to save you, Cleo. And then just cast skills on cooldown and get ready to bog on break. Bog is really nice in a trial like this because of the Plague mechanic. If you can get Plague on Volk reliably, you can have more instances of bog than you would otherwise be able to. But we really only got bog here on break, and I don't think we were able to get Plague onto Volk again. However, you can also use bog on things like the Blood Moon, and of course you can always use your dragon to tank unavoidable damage like Steel Vitality, so that's what I'm planning on doing right now, and casting my skill just anyway, why not? It's a little bit more damage than Pietro does when he's not in his dragon form, so I guess it's alright. So we're looking fine, but it seems like my damage personally seems so much lower, but I guess because of Marth versus Serena, we're making a faster pace here. And yeah, this is kind of what I decided to do for my weeklies. If you're not familiar with Pietro and Eleonora and their role in the channel, so Eleonora was the first ever summon I got. She was my tutorial / free summon. And back in the day, instead of picking a 5-star character of your choice, you got a random 4-star. So I just got Eleonora randomly, and that is how she became the channel mascot. And then Pietro, I would say, kind of represented a turning point in my game as far as Dragalia lost, since he is the character I used to take on Hybrid this trial. And that was the first time I really got more serious about the game and the end game, and so in particular, Pietro was kind of an off-meta choice at the time. He was used in some speedrun strats, and he had some really desirable properties for that fight, like having a defensive co-ability, access to a shield, but he wasn't necessarily the mainstream pick. But I decided to go with Pietro, and I really fell in love with like learning the hard content at that point. I know I'm not still great at it, but that's kind of why I felt Pietro represented something about the channel as well, because it was such a turning point. But now we get into the solo clear, the last one for today, and I will be the first to tell you, like, this was a pretty bad clear. One of my first attempts with this team, and I knew that bringing 3 melee to this was not recommended, but like, these are the characters I had built, and I didn't really feel like building flame ranged characters. I tried using off-element ranged characters plus Grace, but it really didn't go that well during the teleport phase. So I decided I'll just bring melee and I'll just kind of protect them by never having aggro on Volk. And now that the fight lasts super long, it'll probably be fine, even if I take a little bit longer to get through things. Unfortunately, things turn bad very quickly. Like, iframe there to protect my team was horrible because I didn't land any of those hits. Somebody got stunned over there. Like, I was sure I was going to have to reset on this, but somehow my team just ended up being spaced out super nicely to clean off Plague, and I figured I would run with it, and essentially I knew if I got past this part and Resentment that I would be fine to clear this in solo because phase 2 was no problem. It's really just phase 1 that's kind of a nuisance, and the less uptime you have during that shuriken phase, then the closer it becomes when you want to transform Volk before Resentment ends and before he teleports away. But here we're actually looking fine. I've never played a healer in this fight, so I didn't really want to switch to low, and it just seemed like a lot of extra work. I figured he'd probably be okay by himself, and all my other characters would probably be okay, so as long as I threw out iframes every now and then, that seemed like enough. Really, what you're supposed to do is switch to Lowen though, and run like 2 other ranged, maybe 1 melee. That is kind of like the standard way to solo this, but it seemed like it would be okay, and thankfully it was. There are some really dicey moments here in this particular fight, and there's just a lot of sad gameplay, to be honest. You'll see something coming up here in a second that I was just like, man, I am so bad at this game, where I try to use Yuden's second skill just to iframe this, and yep, just completely missed, but that's okay. Everything's going fine, as long as I can keep my AI alive. That's actually why I'm not casting skills on cooldown. I really should cast that first skill pretty soon because I do want burn uptime. All my characters have Elegant Escort right now, but I figure it's better to save it to try iframe something to protect them. And that's pretty much my mindset with this, is if I can play defensively, my AI are going to carry me right now. In particular, well, I got hit there, which was obviously not good. You might have seen me trying to spam the third skill. But in particular, what I really liked about this team was the combo time chain-co ability on both Ezlith and Nobunaga. Like, you may not be aware of this, but if you ever play with the combat log on, a lot of AI characters cannot access flurry abilities at all. Like, they don't maintain combo naturally. And unfortunately that means that a lot of their passives, the Wyrmprints you would want to use on them, are not any good. Luckily, those 2 characters both having combo time means that as AI, even when they get knocked out and stuff, they can pretty much keep up their flurry passives, which both of them have. So I was kind of glad to get to pair them together, but I was struggling to figure out whether I could pull it off with this many melee on the team, because the melee being together is pretty annoying during the first phase of the fight. But thankfully we were able to, and even though Ezlith took a really big hit, or takes a really big hit, gets to very low HP, she's able to be healed up very quickly, and we're able to maintain our combo as Yuden now. There's not too much impeding us. The Steel Vitality is a little bit of a setback, but Lowen is over there just doing what he does. He's healing. He has Chimera Tech. It has the most HP of any of the weapons right now before the tier 2 Agito weapon's out. And also, that's just what I happen to have, so that's the real reason why he has it. And thankfully, as an AI, he's getting bullied a little bit. You know, he's triggering the resilient offense, so it's not the worst. But when you're actually controlling him, it does tend to be more convenient to have extra iframes through the tier 2 High Dragon weapon or the Agito weapon. But in this particular case, this was totally fine. I became Arctos here, wanted to use my stun on the Blood Moon, but ideally I would have been able to even break the Blood Moon, stun afterward for the Steel Vitality. I got a little concerned that we weren't going to break the Blood Moon, so I went ahead and used my dropkick. Since I'm all flame here, I know Steel Vitality is not going to be too much of an issue for me, and navigating these tornadoes with the melee and multiple melee was kind of scary. I didn't really know how to do this, and yep, I popped Nobunaga right there. But I have 2 skills up, so I'm pretty sure she'll be fine. She's just chilling, taking a little nap. And yeah, this is pretty much it for Expert Volk for me for a while. Hopefully I'm able to clear Master pretty quickly. I don't know. I'm not going to try force it or rush it. I'm really hoping Mikoto gets a Mana Spiral. That's the character I really want to use. So I hope that that's the case, but even if he doesn't, there's lots of good flame characters, so I'll find somebody to bring to it, and maybe it'll be Ezlith, maybe it'll be somebody else. I think it'll probably be doable without Golemars, depending on how Skillshare works. That could definitely be an avenue to take care of things. And I'm really curious how they designed the fight. Like, I think that Volk might still be one of the more interesting Agito battles. Kai Yan has a cool idea and concept with the battleground, but it doesn't really pan out well because of his low HP. But Volk, the resentment and the clouds of wolves could get interesting if they actually mix up like the resentment patterns. That could be kind of neat. Or maybe combining resentment with teleport, which would be kind of mean, but could be fun, honestly, just to see him like pop around and pop out of the smoke. That would be pretty enjoyable and pretty flavorful, because he does seem like he has that shadowy style about him. Maybe they could even play up the poison aspect of him that he right now uses fairly seldomly, but have more poison-inducing attacks. That could lead to a meta where things like Resilient Offense look a little bit more appealing, perhaps, or you have to bring in other ways to heal and want like strong regen ticks to counterbalance the poison. I'm just excited about whatever it may entail. Like maybe Blood Moon will also get an edit. I think there are really good ways they could remix this fight, make it feel fresh again. It was my favorite fight when it came out. I've really liked this fight over time. It's a little harder to clear than it used to be in public lobbies, I will admit. But for old time's sake, we'll put on the epithets. Here's the team that I use. Not super fancy. Good dragons, but nothing over the top like Mars. And that is going to do it for today, everyone. So let me know what you're thinking about Master Volk, what your experience with Volk has been like. I hope you enjoyed this casual look at Expert Volk today. Once again, that is going to do it for this video, so thank you as always for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time.